Let's dive into one of the wildest, most confusing, and just downright fascinating business deals in the history of cars, the sale of Rolls-Royce. Seriously, it's a story about high-stakes corporate chess, a tiny little loophole, and a plot twist that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. So, here's the big mystery we're going to solve. Back in 1998, Volkswagen dropped a fortune. We're talking £430 million to buy Rolls-Royce, beating out its biggest rival. And yet, if you go buy a brand new Rolls-Royce today, it's made by BMW. How in the world does that even happen? Well, let's get into it. Okay, so let's set the scene. The year is 1998. The owner of Rolls-Royce Motors at the time, a company called Vickers, decides they're ready to sell the legendary British brand. And, as you can imagine, this kicked off an absolute battle royale for ownership. And the two main players to step into the ring were, of course, the German giants BMW and Volkswagen. Now, it's really important to know that BMW wasn't just some random company throwing money around. No, they were already a crucial partner, supplying the incredible V8 and V12 engines for Rolls-Royce cars. So you'd think they were the obvious, logical choice, right? So BMW comes to the table with what they think is a killer bid, a massive £340 million. I mean, for just about any other company, that would have been more than enough to lock this thing down.
But this was no ordinary deal. Just when BMW thought they had it in the bag, Volkswagen just swoops in and drops an even bigger number, a jaw-dropping £430 million. They completely blew BMW's offer out of the water.
And just like that, the auction was over. Volkswagen had won. They were officially the new owners of Rolls-Royce Motors. End of story, right? Well, not even close. This is where things start to get really, really weird. You see, buying a company called Rolls-Royce Motors didn't actually mean what Volkswagen thought it meant. There was this one tiny detail buried deep in the ownership rights that was about to change everything. It was all about the name itself. So what did Volkswagen actually get for their £430 million? Well, they got the stuff. You know, the physical company, the factory, the designs. But as they were about to learn the hard way, they had completely missed the single most important part of the puzzle. Okay, this right here shows you the whole problem in a nutshell. Volkswagen owned all the physical things, the historic factory and crew, the car designs, even the famous Spirit of Ecstasy hood ornament and that iconic grille shape. But what they didn't have were the two things that mattered most, the Rolls-Royce name and that legendary RR logo. How is that even possible? Well, years before, the car company had been split off from its parent, the jet engine maker Rolls-Royce plc, and that aero engine company, they were the ones who held on to the rights for the name and the logo. It was a critical detail everyone else seemed to overlook. And here is the absolute masterstroke. Rolls-Royce plc, the guys with a name, had just recently been doing business with BMW. They liked them, they had a good relationship, so they quietly decided to license the priceless name and logo directly to BMW for a mere £40 million. Suddenly, Volkswagen owned a state-of-the-art factory to build cars that they legally couldn't call a Rolls-Royce. Ouch. So now you have this completely insane situation. Volkswagen has the factory, but no name. BMW has the name, but no factory. The two bitter rivals had no choice. They had to sit down at the table and hammer out one of the most bizarre and complicated handover deals you will ever see. And you better believe BMW had a huge trump card up their sleeve. Remember those engines they were supplying to the factory? Yeah, their contract said they could stop supplying them with just 1 year's notice. There was no way Volkswagen could design and fit a new engine in that time. The multi-million-pound factory they just bought would grind to a halt. BMW had them right where they wanted them.
So this forced them into this totally bonkers agreement. First, VW had to agree to sell the last pieces of the brand they owned, the hood ornament and grille shape, over to BMW. In exchange, BMW promised to keep the engines coming until the end of 2002. Just think about how strange this is. For 5 years, Volkswagen would build cars with the Rolls-Royce name on them, using BMW engines, all while BMW was off building a brand new factory to basically take the entire business away from them.
This timeline really lays out how this awkward handover went down. From 1998, VW was basically just a temporary caretaker for the brand. In the meantime, BMW got busy, pouring a ton of money into a new state-of-the-art facility down at Goodwood. And then, on January 1st, 2003, the switch was flipped. The old Crewe factory would keep making Bentleys for VW, and the new Goodwood plant became the one and only home for Rolls-Royce Motor Cars. And what happened after all that chaos? Well, it was nothing short of a complete rebirth for the brand. With Rolls-Royce finally and fully under its control, BMW went all in on restoring it to its former glory. This was the start of a new golden age. The very first car to roll out of that shiny new Goodwood plant was the Phantom. And wow, was it a statement. It was this huge, unbelievably luxurious car that basically shouted to the entire world that Rolls-Royce was back. And this time, it had the full engineering power and deep pockets of BMW behind it. And of course, a comeback like this needs strong leadership. In 2010, a new CEO, Torsten Müller-Ötvös, came in with one mission: to bring back those legendary quality standards the brand was famous for. He ended up staying for a long time, overseeing a period of incredible success, only just handing over the keys to the new CEO, Chris Brownridge, at the end of 2023. And the results of this new focus, they were immediate and just staggering. Get this, in 2010 alone, sales in China didn't just grow, they exploded by an incredible 600%. Just like that, it became the company's second biggest market, proving that the world was more than ready for revitalized Rolls-Royce. So, to wrap up where we are today, Rolls-Royce Motor Cars is owned 100% by BMW. They build their incredible vehicles at Goodwood, England, and they have absolutely succeeded in re-establishing the brand as the undisputed pinnacle of car luxury. What a turnaround. Which really just leaves us with one final question. Volkswagen paid £430 million for a factory, for machinery, for designs, but BMW paid just a fraction of that for a name and a logo. In the end, this whole crazy story really proves one thing, doesn't it? In the world of extreme luxury, the brand isn't just the most important thing, it's the only thing.
You know, when you think of Rolls-Royce, you probably think of old-world, classic luxury, right? But how did they completely reinvent themselves for the 21st century? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today, the incredible comeback story of Rolls-Royce.
Okay, let's start with the number, 6,032. Now, that's not just some random figure. That is the absolute peak of Rolls-Royce's success. It's their all-time record for cars sold in a single year, and they just hit that milestone in 2023. Pretty incredible, right?
So, the big question is, how did they pull it off? I mean, how did a century-old brand not just survive, but totally thrive in the modern era? Well, their journey is kind of like a play, really. It unfolds in three distinct acts: a story of legacy, then dominance, and finally, a really bold look to the future. All right, Act 1, A Legacy Reborn. Our story kicks off back in 2003. The brand's under new ownership, and they've got this immense challenge on their hands. They have to re-establish the Rolls-Royce name and create cars that could set the stage for a whole new century of luxury.
And the very first car to roll out of their new factory in Goodwood? The Phantom 7. And listen, this wasn't just another new model. No way. This was a statement piece. A huge, grand, imposing saloon that didn't just meet the standard for modern luxury, it pretty much tore up the rulebook and wrote a new one.
And you know, right from the get-go, they made their priorities crystal clear. It was all about ultimate comfort. So what did they do? They immediately offered an extended wheelbase version. We're talking an extra 250 millimeters of length. That's huge. And all of it was dedicated to making the back seat a complete sanctuary.
So, over the next 10 years or so, the family just grew and grew. You had the stunning Phantom drophead coupe, the powerful Wraith. They were really expanding their lineup. But the real game changer? That was the Ghost, which came out in 2010. It was a smaller, more driver-focused car, and it suddenly made the whole Rolls-Royce experience accessible to a brand new generation of buyers. This proved they weren't just a one-trick pony. They were strategically building a seriously diverse and powerful portfolio.
Okay, so that brings us to Act 2, today's pillars of luxury. That strong foundation they built allowed them to create the lineup they have now. And let me tell you, it's a collection of cars that absolutely dominates the ultra-luxury market today. And at the top of that lineup is the Phantom 8, launched in 2018. This thing is so much more than just a car. It's the absolute pinnacle of the brand right now. It's their flagship, the ultimate statement of what a Rolls-Royce is. And yeah, it's their most expensive production car. And just like the one before it, it comes in two sizes. But the extended version, wow, it isn't just long, it is literally the longest production sedan you can buy, anywhere, in the world. Talk about a status symbol, right? It's undeniable. And then, in 2018, the moment came that a lot of people were waiting for, and honestly, some people were probably dreading. Rolls-Royce officially jumped into the SUV market with the Cullinan.
Now, this wasn't just them following a trend. It was a total strategic masterstroke. See, they built it on the same core platform as the Phantom, the architecture of luxury. That move ensured it felt like a true Rolls-Royce, and by doing that, they threw the doors wide open to a whole new world of buyers, completely changing the game for their sales numbers.
Okay, moving on to Act 3, the first electric Rolls-Royce. So, with their present-day lineup totally secured by these pillars of luxury, Rolls-Royce turned its full attention to the next big thing, a silent, electric revolution.
This is the Spectre, revealed back in 2022, and it is a true landmark for the company. It's not just their first all-electric car. It's also the most aerodynamic vehicle they have ever made. That signals a whole new focus, blending that classic luxury with modern efficiency.
And this attention to detail, it goes all the way down to their most famous icon. To mark this new electric era, they actually redesigned this Spirit of Ecstasy. They gave her a lower, more powerful stance, with her robes flowing more aerodynamically. It's just the perfect symbol, isn't it? Blending a century of heritage with forward-thinking innovation.
But wait, there's more. The story doesn't just end with the cars you can order from a brochure. We need an epilogue, because Rolls-Royce also caters to this super elite level of customer, the kind of person who wants something completely unique, something that nobody else on the planet has.
Take this, for example, $12.8 million. In 2017, they really showed the world what bespoke actually means. A single client commissioned a totally one-of-a-kind car, the Sweptail. It took 4 years to build, and it sold for that staggering price, making it the most expensive new car ever at the time. Just wow.
And this whole idea has become a key part of their identity now. They've revived the old art of coach building. Going back to the golden age, when a car's body was literally custom built by hand, these incredibly exclusive projects, like the boat tail and the drop tail, are limited to just 3 or 4 cars each, only for their absolute top clients. So, that brings us to the big question. This whole 3-act strategy, rebirth, dominance, and then the electric revolution, did it actually work? Well, as they say, the numbers don't lie. They tell the whole story.
I mean, just look at this growth. Back in 2005, they sold just under 800 cars. From there, sales just climbed and climbed. You can really see that big jump in 2010, right after the Ghost came out, and then, boom, another huge leap in 2019, which was the first full year the Cullinan was on sale.
And this chart? This just brilliantly shows the momentum they've had recently. I mean, the last 3 years have been absolutely phenomenal. Each year, they broke the previous year's record, all leading up to that all-time high we talked about. 6,032 cars delivered in 2023.
So, when you step back and look at it, the brand has just completely reinvented its legacy. They've conquered totally new markets, and now they're embracing this silent electric future. They've reached the absolute summit of the luxury world. Which leaves us with one last really fascinating question. After conquering this peak, what new mountains are even left for Rolls-Royce to climb?